We are all.
Right.
Just doing the lighting. There you go. That's all. It's a bit effective. We can match the lights as well.
Yeah, it's all sounds working, so that's good. You alright, Paul?
Let's go see him. I'll see you later.
Shall I intro? We're very fortunate to have Paul here, who has a record shop over the road, which I'm trying to avoid giving him any business. First of all, by not having a record player, which somehow manages to change itself as a state of the universe, and I think he's behind it.
It's definitely behind.
Yeah, I've made my suspicions very clear, and I haven't had any reasonable refutation. So that's that. So basically, Paul's on a bit of a mission to get people to have record players, and then they'd have to go into a shop and spend every last spare penny they have in the world.
Works as well.
Yeah, don't work on you, Graham. Then it's quite colourful. Yeah, so what I thought I'd do is get a record player. I haven't told him this yet now, but it's a good time to do a revelation. Get a record player and then basically just go in asking for records that he hasn't got, and then look disappointed in front of his own.
You don't even have to have a record player for that. You could just go in with it.
It would be bad faith to just... You know, I have to be in a position to reasonably expect to buy the record if he does have it. But I reckon I should be able to. So that would be a fun game, wouldn't it?
That sounds like a challenge.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. And it's a challenge that would, if you win, you'll end up with shelves full of records nobody wants.
Yeah.
So that's not a challenge you want to win, is it? Anyway.
Could you set the...
Oh, yeah.
Can you forget about this?
She's changing your lights.
Okay.
Ding, there we are. Ding. Okay. So Graham's an interview duties, but I'll talk a little bit about what I think you're doing here. I've got a nice decent sized canvas. I'm not going to do a great, fill it with a head. I'm going to pull back a bit. I'm going to get the decides to wear a check shirt.
Wow, I thought I'd try.
Yeah, it's nice.
Be a little bit different.
Make a fashion statement.
So I'd always say, like, sort of pull your sleeves up a bit as well, because you've got some cool tabs on your arms.
Difficult.
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
They're a big part of you, mate. So
I don't know if you'd like that.
It's not about what I like. It's right. You are projecting yourself as you would have the world see you.
Right. Okay. Okay, so that's a whole lot.
well, that sort of painting.
It's whatever sort of painting you want it to be. There's no shocking me.
That sounds like a challenge as well.
I was talking about something. Yes. So I think I'm going to go for something less literal. I quite like the colours of the shirt. I quite like that sort of greeny blue and the red. And I'm going to try and build most of the image out of those colours. I've got my accent light, which is set to red, so that'd be good. Got the bright light over there, which is if I sit in the right place, it only blinds everybody else, and I'm protected from it. Suits me.
way do you want me to?
So yeah, so how do you end up in the record shop?
That's a very good question. I've always been passionate about music ever since I was a kid. So probably from the age of 5 or 6, father used to listen to a lot of vinyl at the time, obviously. And yeah, he used to listen to Cream, Hendrix, the Animals, and blues stuff. So got well into that at a very early age. Been pretty obsessed ever since.
Was he quite sort of open with sharing it all with you at a young age?
Yeah. Even now, so I've got his entire collection at home. He hasn't got it. So I stole that a long time ago. But no, it's, yeah, he's always listening to stuff, and yeah, I just picked up on it. He was never precious about it. I was lying on the floor. I can remember just the old Fidelity record deck with the pile of records that used to drop down.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's way too guilty young.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I used to just lie on the floor listening to it, watch them drop down, play the next one, listen to all the singles.
And was there a particular record that you initially kind of latched onto?
Yeah, it was, actually there was. It was Burning of the Midnight Lamp by Jimi Hendrix.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't necessarily his most well-known one, but to me, it's still thought that's just an original. It was 1960.
Did that resonate with your dad as well, or was it something that he just had the record and you?
I think he just had it. I think he was more into the blues beat side of things, so like the Animals and stuff like that. So, but yeah, he had a reasonable number of Hendrix singles. So, yeah, so I think that's where I got into it. I kind of focused more on those and Cream as well with Eric Clapton and Jack Bruce. Ginger Baker, who was a jazz drummer.
Eric Clapton was a guitar player in the olden days.
I'm aware of her.
It'll make me feel old when they start talking about stuff like that. You think, actually, but do you know who? That's not being patronising. That's just being old.
And
It's
so
also been
Yeah.
it's coming from James.
Don't deny you've got the fun of patronising Graham. It's a joy.
So when you were growing up in school, you obviously had this sort of like affinity with records and connection because of your dad. Was there a lot of other kids at school that had the same thing?
Yeah, there was one in particular. So, well, actually, it's couples. When I was in primary school, my best friend, he had 2 older brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of which was a skinhead. So, that got us listening to ska music and Specials and Madness and some reggae and stuff like that. So we got into that, and his older brother in turn was a punk. He used to play drums for a band, and he was sort of the Mohican and the Works, and so he was into obviously all the punk stuff, so Sham 69, Sex Pistols and stuff like that. So right from an early age, I had friends that were surrounded by music throughout. So,
Mm-hmm.
so then, yeah.
So do you get like used to meet up and sit and play records together?
Yeah.
And
I remember going to, back in the day when there were school discos and things like that, so you take your treasured records, and which is why so many record covers that I see come in have got a name written on that. Big because they've been taken to parties or discos and stuff. So yeah, we used to do that, and then I guess when I got into my teens, you kind of find your own identity then, and kind of what you're really into. And yeah, so I had a couple of friends there, best mates, that were into the same kind of stuff. So at that time, so I was about 15 or so, it's kind of heavy. So, and yeah, we used to collect records, like trade. Be at school, save any pocket money you got, money you got from work, etc. On Saturday, jump on the train, go to Salisbury, spend a lot of fun. Not even to the extent where you think, well, I'm not going to eat anything because that's going to cost me £2.50, and that's another 2 singles. So. Yeah, so we were mad on all bands as well. Just music.
Formed band. That deserves a little bit more pride into. So.
Oh, not really. But
No, great guys.
I had a few.
So I'm just going to make the mic a little bit closer. I've had some people's message and say
I'm not going to sing.
a bit quiet.
Just want to point that out. Let me singing. Yeah, so it's just when I was 15, 16, we started to play together in a band that didn't really do much until it was probably 17 or 18, and then we used to gig a little bit. Again, not very much. We were very, at the time, it was always such a nightmare to find a drummer, so we played with a drum machine and guitars. I played bass. My brother played guitar and sang, and my best mate played guitar and sang. So
What did you play, sorry?
Bass.
Bass,
Yeah.
amazing.
Not very well though.
That's kind of interesting.
Just before
Your
James
daughter
gets
played bass, doesn't she?
Yeah. Way better than me. I'm really glad she took it up, and it's nice that she did. But yeah, as much as I'd like to say she got it from me, she might have the enthusiasm from me, but I don't know where she got the talent from. It wasn't me.
Definitely need talent to play the bass, too. Easy.
Coming from a bass player, I guess that's allowed. I know to say that, but
And how often did you and your mates kind of like hook up and like have music evenings?
I was like as often as we could. I mean, I lived a little way away, so I lived in Gillingham and they all lived in Shaftesbury, so probably not as often as we'd like, but it's probably weekly or so we used to get together. And I mean, I used to go to school in Shaftesbury anyway, so we used to just get around some of these places after school. And
because you've always lived around these parts, haven't you?
yeah, I was well, technically I was born in Salisbury, but we lived in Shaftesbury at the time. I moved from Shaftesbury to Gillingham when I was 12. Gillingham, I stayed in Gillingham actually for quite some time, Wincanton. Now Stallbridge. I lived in Western Supermare for a little while. But, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Western Supermare always gets a bad rap, but it's one of those. It's a typical seaside town where during the summer it's horrible because it's just rammed full of tourists, and in the winter it's horrible because it's miserable and empty. But I used to love it. So. A lot of street art there as well, so I used to like that. I don't know if James is a fan of that kind of thing, but
What, sir?
street art. So there's a lot in Western Supermare, so that was quite cool.
It's as alien to me as it is to anybody else.
Right.
It's nothing like it. It's the alien side of that world. So I'm always interested to see people decorating trains and all sorts of things. I'm not a big fan of tagging.
No, nor am I.
I think,
Nor am I. I personally don't I don't understand it. I don't see the
Well,
point.
it's a territorial
Yeah,
urination.
but back in the day, I guess, when it was gang related more than anything. So I guess it was
Territorial.
kind of
It's
understandable, but now it's kind
it's
of
the artistic equivalent of the whole.
nice.
People want to be visible,
Yeah.
but they haven't got anything to say.
No, that's the
they're
thing. Yeah.
demonstrating they've got absolutely nothing
No, that's the thing. That's the
to
thing.
offer anybody.
Whereas some can be very, very clever, very, So
Okay, your head tilts side to side. Yeah, you should be sorry. I want you to stop.
I am.
No. All I want you to do is, so you talk to me, your head's tilting that way slightly.
Yeah.
And you talk to Graham, it's going both ways.
Right.
And I think everybody does this. Tom does this, especially a few weeks ago. It's a bit like that NLP idea that if you're remembering something, you look up.
All right. Yeah.
You know, if you're inventing something, you look down. You know, making up a story on the spot. To,
Yeah.
you look down or whatever. Anyway, I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but I think there's a listening pose and there's a talking pose, and there's a, I don't know, it's part of the body language. So what I want you to remember is one head tilt or another.
Right.
So if I do this to you, you remember how it feels?
Yeah. Right.
So you forget about it in a minute.
Yeah.
And as well as that, you're talking to Graham, which I imagine you would probably continue to talk to Graham. Yeah, it's going to turn that way. So can you feel your head's tilting right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Can you remember that? Remember how it feels?
Yeah.
You don't have to stay still.
Right.
It's that if,
Just
at times I don't need to.
right, and then I need to revert back to that. Yeah.
So if you can remember, then after that.
I think you said to Alexander last week, wasn't it, that there's if you pick a spot on the wall as well, that you
Yeah, so you're looking at Graham now, so that's easy to remember.
Yeah.
And then you have six. And then
a minor scolding from James.
well, it wasn't so good. Well, it wasn't meant to be.
Strangely enough, not the first one I've had.
Cameras weren't on it.
I've never let you.
That's brilliant. So, what led you to opening Beaten Trap? Like, give us a bit of your past story in the build-up to it.
Well, the build-up was 30 odd years in the motor trade. Started as parts manager. So for an actually agricultural and horticultural company first, and then went into the motor trade as a parts manager, then a after sales manager, service manager for Volkswagen and Audi. I was in that for a long time, and obviously to be in something for that long, I obviously enjoyed it for a vast period of that. I did move about a little bit, so I worked in Wincanton, Weston-super-Mare, Bristol. I think like most people, I guess, after a while, certainly after 30 years, it kind of you think about changes and doing something different, but it's not always easy to do. Your circumstances don't necessarily allow it, but like with a lot of people, to be fair, COVID kind of turned into a positive for me. As much as I worked through most of it, so I wasn't.
I was just about to say, so what happened for you in the motor trade during COVID?
I was one of. I mean, we were a branch. I was working for Hyundai at the time, or Hyundai dealer in Brislington, and we pretty much. I don't know how many there would have been. About 40 members of staff. For how long it was now, five 5 months or so, 6 months maybe, there was 5 of us. So I worked as after sales manager, service advisor, did all the admin, etc. for that period of time. For we were open because of frontline workers, so police, ambulance, etc., doctors, anybody that needed to work on the front line that had a vehicle, we dictated that we were open. Yes, I think I had 2 technicians, 1 parts guy and MD, pretty much that whole period of time. Which was surprisingly, it was interesting because it was a completely different way of working, and it was obviously quite a strange time. I mean, initially, let's go from a company of 40 people on the Wednesday, I think it was, or something, to find out that at 4 o'clock the place was closed, and as a manager I had to go back in on the Friday to find out what was actually happening. From that point on, I was there for the next however long, maybe it was 5-6 months. As one of only kind of 3 in that particular department. So yeah, it was strange time, but it then kind of made you think and take stock of.
Yeah, I was going to say, were you busy in that time, or was that time for you to be able to have a think about, is this the right place for me to be? Or?
It was ultimately it was a time, and I did go on furlough for a month, and that was the point at which I kind of thought, as much as I love the people that I work with, I've got to do something else. I mean, prior to that, it was a busy job. It was a stressful job. It was at one point I was living in Gillingham, working in Bristol. I was up at 5:15 in the morning and home for worst case scenario about 20 to 10. So, and there was only so much of that you could take, and then obviously when COVID hit, things changed considerably, but it did give you a breather to kind of think there's got to be more to life than that.
So then, obviously, like the record shop is that always been kind of nagging away at you as something that you wanted to do?
In a way, because I've always been an avid collector of vinyl and what have you, so I've always been visiting record shops, and always in the back of your mind, it's kind of like a lot of my customers, to be fair. Now you hear them saying, "Oh, you've got my dream job, you've got what have you." And I guess I was exactly the same. You kind of visit so many and think this would be perfect, but like I said, the circumstance at the time, it was just it would have been really difficult to do it at any other time, other than virtually when I'd finished school. So yeah, it definitely gave me a chance to sit back and think, yeah, this is what I've always been interested in, what I've always had a passion for in one form or another. I just love music, be it live music, playing music, listening, collecting. I guess there's a big part of that makes you a collector as well, if you know what I mean. There's the kind of need to have stuff or certain stuff, and certain people are completists with certain artists or something like that.
Was there then like an actual sort of switch, something that flicked for you to go, right, here we go?
Yeah, it was. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was during that kind of furlough, and I had a month off, and just thought potentially after nobody really knew what was going to happen with the COVID scenario, but I sat there assuming that ultimately it would go back to how it was before, and I didn't want to go back to how it was before. And that was a point at which I thought, well, got some time, let's have a look and see what the probability of actually being able to do something else is. Yeah, is it a possibility? And I think, yeah, I've spent a lot of my previous life probably that niggling in the back of your head, but you never kind of think it is a possibility, so you kind of keep it to the back. But yeah, at that point, and it was a case of, well, let's have a look, let's see what's involved, let's work out. Ended up putting a business plan together, spoke to different people about what's involved, how easy or hard it is to get going, who do you get involved with, how sounds crazy now after doing it for 3 years, but back then it was like, well, where do I get the stuff from, who do I speak to, so once you realise that that's not actually as difficult as it sounds, then it was a case of I can do this.
Just a kind of like random one to throw in there as well. Like during COVID, did you notice that there were like bands and artists that were making music that sort of directly related to the fact that nobody could meet up? Did you see like a?
Yeah, there was quite a few either albums being recorded remotely, or there was a guy that I still do. He's like a kind of folk singer called Gaz Brookfield, and he used to do basically an online gig every week, every Friday night at say 7 o'clock or something, and he'd play and interact with people, so that you still had that kind of.
So many of my musician friends did that.
Yeah.
There's something. I don't know, it just showed how little contingency there was for that whole bit of the industry, and and it was good in the way that they could do it, but yeah, it's I don't know, it's just like the real world doesn't take that seriously as a job.
No. I think you're right, and the kind of, I guess, it must be from an artist point of view, is the disappointing thing must be that the only way that they could continue to earn any money at all was if they did something themselves.
Yeah.
Nobody else was going to look after them. There was no record label that was going to,
Yeah, and that is the way things have gone. I mean, I'm not sort of don't automatically go into that mode of saying, oh, it's so terrible. Yeah, that I have a suggestion of what should happen instead. But it was a sort of a shock realisation of just how trepidatious the presence of any kind of culture is. It's all of it exists because someone did it anyway.
Yeah.
Not because there was, oh, this would be a great thing to do. What a wonderful opportunity. It's always a terrible idea, and people just do it anyway. It's the only reason we have anything interesting. It's because of that. And yeah, you're right. It brought out that sort of quality, which was a sort of an interesting thing. But it was just something a bit depressing about an online gig.
Oh yeah.
I sort of, it worked for me quite well, because I tend to just put out static images that I'm quite well removed from. For me, it's the thing that happened in the past, and then I share it with everyone.
Yeah.
That's that. This is something a bit different to that. But yeah, for musicians that need that atmosphere and that thing of people being in a place, so much of it's about that, and not being able to have that was a real blow. Very hard to sort of recreate it.
I was going to say, I mean, doing that, it was great for us, because you still got some live music and some connection with people that you were used to seeing. But yeah, I guess for them, it was just, say, him in particular, just playing in front of a webcam, you can't.
Something really quite depressing.
Yeah, you can't get. I guess you can't. Not that I did it very often, but you can't be playing in front of, well, I don't know, 50 people, 500 people, however many, but having somebody or that atmosphere in front of you and being able to...
It could be two people, but if they're in the same room and they're listening,
then
then there's a thing there for you to respond to.
Yeah.
And you just can't recreate that.
No. Not even with numbers that flick up on the screen.
Yeah. There might be some people who actually sort of work quite well.
Well, I guess to be fair, it probably gave people who weren't doing live music the opportunity to actually do it, if that makes sense.
Well, wasn't there the guy that ended up being the UK rep at Eurovision? What's his name? Guy with really long straight hair.
Yeah, I know who
you know exactly who I mean.
Yeah, Sam Ryder.
Yeah.
Sam Ryder?
Yes, yeah. I was getting Ryder and Fender wrong, but yeah. He kind of came about because he started doing stuff in lockdown on TikTok, I think it was.
All right.
Just sort of singing and like singing other people's stuff, and then it kind of progressed from that. So there was an element of people being able to kind of prosper through it.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah. I think it's
But
like
very few though.
there's I think it probably didn't. Yeah, it probably didn't benefit anybody that was in the kind of business already, as it were. Didn't benefit, I don't think, from it. But I think a lot of people that weren't in the business at all suddenly stuck at home, who were used to doing stuff maybe for themselves, and I suddenly thought, well, actually, I can put this online, or I could do a live stream, or I could play it.
I guess it gave people the time, because if they could.
Well, that's right. No, that's exactly. So yeah, I guess it positive in that sense.
So we've come out of COVID, and you're in the mood mindset of you're going to set up your own record shop. What made you choose Sherborne?
There's really, I guess, originally living in this area, and wanting to come back here. I mean, it wasn't so bad living in like western direction and North Petherton and what have you, but it was just coming back to an area that and their family are here, and
So is that almost like a bit of a
you,
comfort blanket for something when you're going outside of your comfort zone?
Yeah, I mean, initially, I like to think that there's probably two reasons you start. Well, probably two reasons you do anything, I guess, but a business maybe more so is you either want to make a load of money, or you want to enjoy your life, and working life is a massive part of that. So, and that's what motivated me. I'm not motivated by making millions, and which is a good job being a record store, but that doesn't motivate me. But being happy and getting some job satisfaction, doing something that I'm really, really passionate and interested in, and working with or for that matter, people that are think the same way. So I think from that point of view, you just kind of automatically think of the area There's other places to look at.
Where else did you look at when you were?
Kind of Shaftesbury was one. Again, because I used to live there, and it was all just to be fair, it was pretty much a radius around kind of Shaftesbury Gillingham area, and see initially what properties there were, and then this one. The one in Sherborne came up. I think it had been empty for quite some time, but it was the right kind of it's just kind of fitted the bill. It was the right kind of, well, at the time I thought it was the right size, but now now maybe not. But yeah, all the kind of, the rent, etc., was the right kind of figures. The area was nice. Sherborne's a great place. It's full of independent shops and what have you, that's a big draw, I think. So it's got a really good community feel. With doing things like that, things like this, and you just get to. Yeah, it's just nice. I think I could have been at another record store in Bristol or another record store in Bath, what have you. And yeah, I might have turned over way more money than I do, but
if you weigh that up then with the cost of the premises,
that's right.
Around it,
and would I been? I'm happy, so that's the most important thing from my point of view.
I think it's quite a good choice in that you look for other record shops in the area, and you've got to go 10 miles at least, really, for the next. Yeah,
you've got
shop. So you catch quite a good market.
Yeah, it's got a good catchment area, and it's funny because record stores don't tend to necessarily compete with each other so much physically. I mean, online there's not much to.
So you're playing with the big boys online, though.
Yeah, exactly. And there's what can you do? There's the product and the price, and just get it out on time, and that's pretty much it. There's not much more to offer than that. If you do a good job, then and you're known and what have you. But being a physical bricks and mortar store is different. I think people come because of the type of record store it is. So you might cater for a particular, not a single genre necessarily, but you might have a good source of good quality psychedelic rock or something like that, and that'll draw people in. So if you've got a good variety of good genres and what have you, then.
So that was going to be one of my questions later on. Was that are you? But you brought it up already. So are you geared towards a particular genre, or what's your ethos behind what you get in and why you get it?
Ironically, initially I went into it thinking I would be, and some stores do. You go to certain places and that'll be purely electronic, so it'll be house and techno and what have you. Or you'll go to some places. There's a relatively new place in Camden called Raven Records, and it's heavy metal only kind of thing, and it's amazing. But they focus on just that one. And I think that would be difficult to do, certainly initially in somewhere like Sherborne. But I did kind of go into it thinking, I'm going to be able to stock this, and I'm going to do loads of hardcore punk and grunge and etc. etc. And then you find that everything just kind of broadens out. And I had a conversation, I think, with James previously where there's probably two types of music that I have absolutely no time for at all when I open the shop. So day one, no interest in jazz whatsoever. And I think that's because, again, I discussed this with James, but I probably heard the wrong kind of jazz, and it just wasn't for me. Charles Mingus was one.
Charlie Mingus was great. Also, he wasn't like
I couldn't handle
crazy avant-garde. There's a great tune called Eat That Chicken.
Yeah. There you go.
I want everyone to listen to it after the live stream.
Eat That Chicken, right. I'll get it in stock for all you.
You have to wait.
I think I must have heard the wrong. There was a live album by him that I heard, and I literally got through side one and couldn't do side two, and that put me off. But within a couple of weeks of being in Sherborne, it felt like every second person through the door was like jazz, 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 jazz.
So have your musical horizons been like broadened because of that?
Definitely, and that's turned out to be the real fun bit. I love being able to introduce people to music that I love, that they might not have heard or might be similar to what they like, but they've not, come across before. But it's always really cool if somebody introduces you to something that you just would never have considered.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, jazz was definitely one. I'm not no way an aficionado of jazz. I don't know huge amounts, but I know what I like, and I do like some jazz. So I like Dave Brubeck's probably. I don't know whether he's cool in jazz. He plays cool jazz apparently, but I don't know whether he's.
It was cool once.
Yeah, but I like that kind of stuff, and John Coltrane and some Miles Davis.
It's a funny thing. It's a little word that describes a lot of things.
Yeah,
and they are all linked. And I don't know any musicians that are purists. There's some posers that only do one thing, but and they're all linked. All different types of jazz. So yeah, I don't think they play a lot of jazz. They'll know trap as well.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that's sort of probably a bit naff. It's not very cool.
It's no.
But it actually, if you just enjoy listening to it, from a musical point of view.
Yeah, then it's.
I like all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I try and keep that. Alive. Even though, parts of me is going. It's a bit naff. There's some things that have just got on pleasure in me. And actually, they're all linked together. It's not like it's a funny thing that Gregory Porter couldn't exist. Irving Berlin hadn't written Sanders Ragtime Band. But no one wants to hear Gregory Porter do that. They're quite right.
Glad you said that, because I was about to.
But it's that sort of, it's part of the building blocks. And no, I mean, the best musicians I know can have fun playing anything. But that's usually just if they're so good, they can make it good.
They could, yeah.
Is there anything that you will verbatim not allow through your threshold?
Not really, although I don't do, and it's not because I don't like it, because I do, but I don't do any classical, but that's purely from a business point of view. It just moves very, very slowly, so it's not, from a business point of view, it's not worth doing it. But
so what sort of, so you do brand new records as well as sort of pre-loved stuff. So what percentage are you looking at in terms of shop space for your
probably not far off 50-50, to be fair. It's saying that, I do an awful lot more pre-loved singles than new. The new singles, they do get pressed, but they're not in such numbers as they used to be. So from that point of view, it's probably more pre-loved than new in totality. But there's still a big, you've got collectors of the older stuff, people that are looking for, you got proper collectors, I say proper collectors, but collectors that are looking for particular editions of certain albums or multiple copies of the same album. You've got people that purely just want to listen to the music and don't what version it is, have no interest whatsoever, which is cool as well. You end up catering for everybody. I buy my music to listen to. I do collect stuff, and I am a completist in certain bands and what have you, but primarily it's
Do
just
you think there's
listen
some
to.
people that might look like music enthusiasts and are in fact stamp collectors?
I mean, you could look at, you know, to be fair, a small part of my collection, but you could look at it and go and assume that basically that there aren't very many still sealed copies of anything in my collection. But I do know people that buy multiple copies of albums by one band and never open them. It's just purely a collecting.
Okay. So what other bands that you collect?
One is actually thanks to you, is 9 Inch Nails. Because Graham was the first person I bought any records from when I opened the shop. Much to his dismay now, because they went to a good home though.
They did.
I didn't actually.
They didn't grace the shop, did they?
Graham was the first person I bought records from for the shop, and then kept all of them. So, so 9 Inch Nails is a big one. There's another Australian band called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
I didn't realise they were Australian.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
From Melbourne, and they're a bit of a nightmare because they've done 32 studio albums, multiple live albums and EPs and stuff like that. So I think, and that is one where I just will buy anything and everything and keep it.
Who's your man's into them as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he quite likes them. Yeah, he surprises me sometimes when he'll put something on during the day when he fills in for me on a Monday, and then turn around and say, "Oh, that King Gizzard album's really cool."
And what genre of music are they?
That's why I find them so interesting and exciting, because for instance, last year they released 2 albums. One was, for all intents and purposes, a thrash metal album, and the other one was a synth pop disco kind of thing. They do psychedelic rock, they do psychedelic or avant-garde jazz, they do microtonal music where...
You're going to have to explain that one.
Well, I don't know, James probably knows.
It's well, you got the normal major scale, like the white keys on the piano, but then in between those, there's a gap. And if you were to tune a string from one note to the next one, you go through all the other notes in between, and those are microtones. So you get quarter tones in some Indian and Hungarian music and things like that.
Well, that's right, because a lot of stuff that they play sounds very kind of, when they are doing microtonal stuff. So it's like the guitars up on the wall. If you were to take the frets, so you've got the gap between the 2 frets, and then and what they've done is they've put another fret in between.
Right.
So you've created another, well, not created, but it's already there.
Specific, so the sitar has adjustable frets. There's a lot of instruments with adjustable frets just because it's simple tuning. That's the thing. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, because once you start listening to it as music, you do get the hang of hearing it as music. When you first hear it, it sounds like it's right. Especially singers, because singers, any fretless instrument, violin, they have all these sounds. You can do a swoop. The beginning of Rhapsody in Blue by George Gershwin, the clarinet. Yeah. Okay, I got that out too. Sorry, listener. But anyway, it starts with this little semitone waver, and then there's a glissando, which is just a complete smooth sweep all the way through. And every part of that has meaning at different times.
Yeah.
Sometimes because you go, oh, that's a bit sharp, oh, that's a bit flat. They're all feelings. It's like if you're a chef, you might make something a bit sour, or a bit sharp, or a bit too much chili, so it shocks people. And it's not like, you don't want everything to be like that, but if you put it in the right place, and then it's part of the story. So it's had a bit of a resurgence in modern times.
So they've done some really cool stuff. So, and it has got a lot of what they've done with it sounds very kind of Middle Eastern. It's got that kind of vibe, which is So they do absolutely all sort of spoken word stuff, instrumentals, songs that are 28 minutes long, songs that are 2 minutes long. So they do everything. There's about 7 or 8 of them in the band, so there's a lot of different instruments as well. So the other cool thing they do, which is a nightmare from a collecting point of view, is it's technically possible for you to release one of their albums. They will give you, sometimes they'll give you the masters for the actual studio album, or they give you the masters of a live recording, and then you can press it. You can press it in whatever colour you want, whatever artwork you want to do, etc., etc. And I think the deal is that they take a percentage of the actual physical product for themselves as payment. So they sell it on their website. You can sell the rest. But they're happy for you to do that. So they kind of call it official bootlegs. So, which means I've got 90 plus albums by them.
Wow.
The thing is, I mean, with so many studio albums, the live albums, you'd imagine that for a lot of bands that maybe they've recorded five albums in their lifetime, if you were to hear 25 shows, some of those would be very, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas they've got so much material to choose from. They tend to do a couple of dates. They did a couple of dates in Brixton, I think, at one point, and you could get like a special offer ticket where you bought both nights because they weren't going to play the same song twice.
Oh gosh, wow.
And they could probably do weeks and weeks worth of gigs without repeating the same song.
So, James, as you're kind of reaching in to get spatula, amazing. Spatula comes out.
Yeah, that hurts.
Come to a point now, maybe it's 8 o'clock. So, did you want to have a break? Or are you good with sitting? Or?
No, tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to sit still for 5 minutes.
Can I just stretch my leg?
Great. Yeah. I knew that was going to stay. So.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially the way it just clicked as well.
So then movement is great because you create this sort of dynamic version first. But you return to Graham. Back a bit. No, this is a good one. Okay, so look at very much. Well. That's it. And that is a good angle. And
Just feel slightly unnerving looking at Graham in the eyes.
all I'm doing is doing symmetrical. You can look just above his head, that's what I think.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
Through me, everyone does. So, tell us about some of the tattoos you've got.
Oh. First tattoo I had was
Keep looking over this way.
the eye. Whoops, yeah. First tattoo I had was the eye, which I didn't get until I was in my 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Which, believe it or not, wasn't that long ago. I'd always wanted to get one, but I'd always, to be perfectly honest, been just terrified of getting one. I don't know what. My kids would say it was a midlife crisis, probably, but I just decided one day that, I think circumstances, there was a guy that I worked with when I moved to Western. He got quite a few. His friend was a tattooist, so I just had to say, I've always wanted to get one. And there we go. And the trouble is, I'm almost glad I didn't get one when I was kind of 18 or 19, because I'd be absolutely covered in them. So it's weird. It's a weird thing, because everybody asks if it hurts, and it does hurt. They all hurt. I mean, sticking needles in your skin is going to hurt regardless, but it's quite weird. I enjoy it. To the extent where I fell asleep while having one done. It was just, but yeah. So that was the first one. Yeah, back quite some time ago. So I've got one arm which is like a complete sleeve, and it's kind of, I've got not an obsession as such, but magpies are a big, I don't know what it is about magpies, but yeah. So I've got 3 magpies, skulls. Whereas I've got a big skull on my chest. I've got a skull and a demon cat on my back. But then this arm is all logos, bands that I love. Apart from one there, which is when I said to my daughter because she loves that kind of stuff. I said for her 18th birthday I'd buy her a tattoo. So obviously, but she was really pleased with that. She said, "Are you going to get one as well?" And I said, I'll make it even better. Then I'll pay for your tattoo, and you can decide what I have."
Oh wow!
So she got. She decided on Beavis and Butthead, but skeletal versions of.
Okay.
So
yeah.
she's got Beavis on her calf as her first tattoo. Strangely enough, I ended up with Butthead. I was can't remember why, but on my arm. So yeah, but all the others are. But they're mainly punk bands that I used to love, and the odd one, Aphex Twin, 9 Inch Nails, Nirvana, Crass, Misfits, Dead Kennedys. So.
Have you found that your music that you enjoy has deviated and changed from when you were younger?
I don't know if it's a strange thing, because you kind of tend to think that you're going to grow out of things and into other things. I definitely grow into other things. I mean, if you'd spoken to 15-year-old me, the thought of sitting down and listening to modern classical stuff like Max Richter or something like that wouldn't have computed back then.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm totally open to all of that, and as we said, jazz and all sorts of stuff, but I never grow out of what I listen to. So I still listen to ska, I still listen to punk, I still listen to metal, as well as each other. So yeah, it's definitely broadened massively, but so I've always got an open mind to everything. I mean, I listen to things that most people just question, probably my sanity and the person that made it, but
I've picked up a few artists
yeah.
that have been questionable, but I think they're cool as well. But have you seen sort of a cycle of because you've been into your music for so long, have you seen a cycle of trends that happen over the years, and have you seen them come back around again?
I guess, but I mean, I suppose, like, you always tend to get these big moments in any culture, full stop, I guess. But certainly in music, we get kind of probably get the 50s, 60s kind of jazz thing, and then the rock and roll came in, and that's when it really kind of blew up. You got obviously the Beatles, etc., and then the period of time that I've kind of when I grew up. I mean, I was born in the 70s, where it was all kind of disco and glam rock and that kind of thing, but I was a bit young to really appreciate that. And then you get into the 80s, and like I said, the end of the 70s, early 80s was the kind of punk and the ska, that kind of thing. 80s went into the new romantic stuff and what have you, and then when you hit the 90s, that was my kind of time. I was 17, and grunge, kind of Nirvana and Mudhoney and what have you hit the scene, and that's what kind of did it for me, as it were. And I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm not so sure we've seen a cycle of anything like that. Punk's always been around, but it's never had that effect that it did in 1977, where it was totally kind of new, and it made everybody at the time believe, I guess, that they that's what so many bands formed, because they thought, well, you don't have to be rich or particularly talented. You just do, if you want to do it, you do it, kind of thing. So I'm not sure there's been huge kind of cycles in that. There's just been big trends, I guess, or that sort of grunge went on for a long time, and you get, unfortunately, with any kind of trend, like, well, it becomes a trend, and therefore labels just see pound signs and
then do it.
So yeah, exactly. So you get 100 Nirvanas, but there's only one Nirvana, and it just gets saturated, and then it'll die a death, and the good bands will stick around, and the others will just disappear, and then it'll be on to the next thing. So it's difficult now, I think, to get any kind of like revolution in music as such, because everything's so different now. It's more difficult to make a huge impact, because everybody has got access to it. For a start, it's not as exclusive as it used to be necessarily, and making it is a lot easier as well. Equipment and technology has advanced so much that you can record an album on a iPad with a microphone, and that's pretty much all you know. And that's what a lot of people do. So the thing is it's difficult for then bands to stand out between, as you know, you go on Spotify or whatever, and there's millions and millions of tracks, and for new bands, how do you know?
So do you think that that's a reason then that artists are now starting to go absolutely massive with their tours? And
yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, I don't know what the figures are, but they don't make any money by streaming. Even the big guys don't make huge amounts of money by streaming. It's all done through either advertising or touring and physical product, which is why it's always been a passion of mine to actually have something physical, something tangible that you can read the liner notes to. You can see who produced the album and realise that that guy does so and so, and it kind of opens you up to. So I think that's a lot more difficult when you stream stuff online. You don't tend to sit down and really take notice of what you're listening to. As such, you're listening to it, but you're not. You just go on to the next one then, and a lot of the time it is playlists, or everything's on shuffle. And
I think that's sometimes a shame, isn't it, that things like streaming has taken away the effort that goes into putting an album together in a particular order for you to listen to it. Because, I'm very guilty of this. I love the radio button on Spotify. It plays similar stuff, and you can then find bands that way. But my my take on that is that you find a new band, you go, wow, that's amazing, and you listen to then the whole album that it's from.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up actually, because I'm not, even though I own a record store and primarily into vinyl, that's not to say that I'm totally against streaming, and that there's definitely a place for it. And even for me, I mean, well, like yourself, you'll say, "Oh, have you heard Health?" I'd be like, "No," but within minutes I can, and then I can.
By me to buy.
And then yeah, exactly. And then but that's what I tend to do, and I don't know. Not everybody does, obviously. You know, I'll listen to something on Spotify, and if I love it, I'll buy it. It's something about I don't know, the psyche, I guess, that I'm not happy with having a phone that's got access to it whenever, because I haven't got it.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, right now I could play that Health album and I know it's there, but
Do you think that changes the relationship to the music? Isn't that what
yeah, I
the
think
old major vinyl was really about a different experience?
yeah,
And we didn't know it was different until CDs came along, then streaming. So, yeah.
I think for me the biggest example of that is when streaming and peer-to-peer, so like Napster and LimeWire, things like that, you know. And all of a sudden, as before Spotify and whatever, so all of a sudden you had access to music, and it was illegal, but it was free. And all of a sudden it was just like everybody was going crazy about, you know, you can have everything for nothing. And I was as guilty as the next man. I was a massive Aphex Twin fan, and some of his stuff is so difficult to get hold of. And all of a sudden there's 8 gig of pretty much everything he's ever done there. I mean, this was the time of dial-up, so it's like
4 or 5
3 days. Because it was literally 3 days, and I've got all of it on a hard drive.
Sorry, that wasn't meant to come out. That's not you.
I thought you were saying you weren't an Aphex Twin fan.
Yeah.
And to this day, bearing in mind that must have been, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago. To this day, I've never listened to it.
Yeah.
Because it's got no value to me whatsoever. It was, and that's, I still think that's why there's a place for physical media, because
Yeah, that's I always found when I was sort of obviously legally downloading stuff, but
damn, I'm the only one who's
that you would download the entire back catalogue of a particular artist, and it would just sit in the folder because you don't really know where to start.
No.
And it's you kind of, oh well, I've got it now, brilliant, ticking that box, and you haven't listened to it.
and that's the trouble. It kind of, yeah, you kind of thought, right, I've got everything he's done now. That's great, and that was it. Whereas if I were to have over time bought all of that, you could guarantee that I would have listened to all of it. I'd have read liner notes and information about it. I would have probably found other bands through that and what have you. But I had all of it all in one go. Didn't pay a penny for it.
Yeah.
And I'd never even listened to it, let alone bit anything else. So I think that's, yeah, so to answer James's question, I think it has changed the relationship with music, because it's not valued as much as it used to be. For lots of different reasons, maybe, but one is obviously that it's, you know, it's so readily available, and if you don't necessarily have to pay a subscription, if you're happy with an advert here and there, you get it for absolutely nothing. But going back to your point, you don't then listen to whole pieces of work, which there's an awful lot of stuff. I mean, obviously lots of classical stuff is supposed to be listened to as a complete. But even modern days, you know, Pink Floyd albums are concept albums that have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's not just 12 singles that can be played at any time.
Yeah, they tried to sort of get some kind of thing. I don't know. I guess it wasn't so for more people to be able to download songs from their albums individually.
No, that's right.
You were to have the whole thing, you weren't going to have it at all.
And I think that's also, it's been kind of, so that has been taken out of the artist's hands. So it's a strange concept, really, because you'd think that an artist, well, like James painting that's his picture, he's done it the way he wants to do it, and you see it the way that he wants you to see it. But that's not the case with music all the time. The artist might, in their mind, have this flows really well. It's got a start, middle, and end. It means something, and you kind of get. I mean, the Downward Spiral is a classic album. I mean, you wouldn't want to listen to that on shuffle, and you wouldn't want to. I mean, we all listen to playlists and what have you, and yeah, there's going to be songs that pop up and what have you, but that album is a start to finish journey, and that's what it's supposed to be. And yeah, to have that kind of taken away from you must be a bit frustrating, I should imagine.
So on that, we've had Josie 10 minutes ago. Sorry, Josie, saying hi all. There's a message in there for you, James, but we'll cover that later.
That sounds ominous.
No, nothing bad. It's just about something that's happening next week. So, and also Steve Henderson, who says hi. Hope you're all well. So it's cool. Hello to both of you. James, you let out quite one of those. Yeah, maybe a bit more force.
Am I still moving too much?
It's all Paul's fault. It's got the wrong head.
Strangely enough, you're not the first person. So.
No, it's a balance. It's a tricky balancing act right now, and I am on the verge of winning, but I can't believe how much this has got away.
Alexander also typed up, just as a text message to me, he says, what is James doing with Spatula? We have Spatula every episode.
And not always.
Both.
See, what you've just done is like madness to me. I mean, I can only just see it on the screen that's behind you. But
no. So,
you look at it and you think,
in the process,
it looks like it's
trying to get the balance of different things in your
right.
head. Your face got bigger and bigger. So I knew that was coming. On the canvas.
Right.
You're actually
Yeah, I was going to say.
you can relax about that.
I'm not allergic to cats.
But the original drawing for where your body was completely off. Effectively, I had shrunk. That, I think, is probably a good time for a little break.
Yep.
It's starting to appear. The surface of this is absolutely horrible. I'm going to share my tribulations. Up close. The paint's really thin. It's really scrubby. Nothing quite knows where it wants to be yet. But I think it's close enough to start. And there's things to fix, but I think I've got the basics there that I can go in. But I basically always got to start this over.
A cat cam as well.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh, so you're being watched.
Yeah, I've been stared at.
Studied.
Well, in which case then we're going to go on a 5-10 minute just sort of slight break. I'll put on one of the time lapses that we have going on, and we'll be back shortly.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to be a little bit. This is entirely due to my own shortcomings, but I am going to get you back to a video tape for your beer.
Back again. Hello, everybody.
Yeah. So the hands.
Yeah.
You don't think when you cross them there like that. Yeah. It's just what you do naturally. Don't think too much about it.
What's going through your mind, James?
It's hard to put into words. It's painful.
It's an interpretive dance.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably have a better chance of getting through that. It's so I've got a muscle in my back which goes down again. Not probably injury. Yeah, I have to catch that. You don't have to last days, and then the only way you're comfortable is if you stand like this. But I'm not prepared to do that. So I stand upright, and then everyone thinks I've got Tourette's. Just swearing and paying my shoulder the whole time. Okay, and you get the Blake White, which is a Blake White's lovely for portraits because it's got a low tinting strength. And it's got this particular consistency, which is quite to words, but it's sort of it's not as sort of super smooth and creamy. It's more cottage cheese than double cream.
Nice.
Yeah, probably not.
Whilst you're doing that, Jay, cool. Standout gigs.
Cool.
You must have been to loads.
Standout ones. One is a festival, actually, best festival that it was just, for me anyway, the perfect festival. Because it was 1991. It was on the same day I saw Dinosaur Jr., Nirvana, Silverfish, Sonic Youth, Iggy Pop. It's just
Wow.
that was on the Friday. On the Saturday, there's bands like The Fall, who I used to love, and the Sunday was the main reason we went. To be fair, other than the fact that the main reason I went to that festival was to see the Sisters of Mercy play. They headlined the Sunday, but the highlight was to see Nirvana. That was just incredible. It was before they were big, so it's probably second or third time they've been to the UK. But August was the festival. September, Nevermind came out, so it was a good month or so before we'd kind of heard much of the album. And I can remember played Smells Like Teen Spirit. It just felt like the whole of 20,000. It was quite a small festival, to be fair. Big at that time, but small comparatively to today's.
Which
But
one was it?
Reading.
Oh, okay.
Before it became Reading and Leeds, and then they used to chop and change and what have you. But Yeah, and it just felt like the whole 20,000 people were just like froze just for a split a second before Dave Grohl came up with the drum, and it's mad. But yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing. And you kind of look back on it, all the bands that you actually saw that you just didn't appreciate maybe at the time. So I saw De La Soul, for instance, which was like, at the time, didn't really think much of it. As in, I wasn't a huge hip hop fan. We saw them, it was good, but you didn't appreciate what kind of band they were going to become. So that's probably, from a festival point of view, that was amazing. Standout gigs. Obviously going to be Nine Inch Nails is going to be one because they're favourite band. So seeing them at the Eden Project with you, that was really cool. And to this day, I still think the way that they did the lights was so simple. It was just red lighting on the stage, and then the domes at the Eden Project kind of pulsated in red as well. It's just was really cool. But I saw James Addiction in Brixton in 1991. That was amazing gig. They were quite something. Metallica was my first ever gig.
That's quite something.
Yeah.
First ever gig, it's Metallica.
That was 1980. I did an article in the Chevron Times about it, so I don't want to bore you with more of it. But yeah, I was about 15 at the time, and the teacher was so cool at school. They let me and my mate leave early to catch a train with some sixth formers to go to Hammersmith and see it.
That's really interesting. You said about the teacher was really cool because I bumped into a teacher friend of mine from around here, and he said he had a student that came up to him and said, "Sir, can I be excused on the Friday for a gig?" And initially he was like, "Oh, no, it's a music gig." And he was like, "Who is it?" And they were going to the Nine Inch Nails on the Friday.
Oh, right.
On the Saturday. And as soon as the kid said Nine Inch Nails, like, yeah, you go.
And
Let's go off.
That's a cool teacher.
Yeah.
I think one of the, I know you've said it, loads of standout gigs. I saw Smashing Pumpkins when they first came to the UK.
Oh, wow.
And that was at the Bristol Beer Cellar when that was going, and that was such a small venue, but amazing. One of the best gigs I've ever seen is quite a bizarre one. The Orange Box that used to be in the Oval, and there's a band called Jubilee, so nobody'd heard of the band. It just didn't come on anybody's radar at all. And but it had Aaron North from Nine Inch Nails at the time, Mikey Shoes, who's a bass player for Queens of the Stone Age, and I can't remember the guy's name, but the drummer for the Cribs. So it was like a super group, but it was more of a kind of just a something for them to do kind of thing when the other bands weren't touring. And yeah, they turned up. God knows how they turned up in the Oval, but turned up in the Oval. To this day, I reckon there was 20, 25 people there. My mate Sims swears blind there is no more than 10 people watching them. And when they came on, I mean, I don't know what they were doing before the gig, but I can imagine they looked like they were on another planet. I didn't think they were going to play. I thought they probably looked at the fact that there's nobody here, so we just get wasted and see what happens. And they played as if they were playing in front of like 10,000 people.
Wow.
It was amazing. It was so good. And the gig finished. So the drummer and the bass player had walked off, and the Aaron North he dived over the top of his amp stack, and all you could see with his feet above the top of the amp still playing the guitar. But yeah, that has to be, strangely enough, yeah, one of the best gigs I've been to, but there's nobody there. Strange. But the Oval used to have quite a scene. I used to go to the Oval all the time to see decent bands.
My friend Ian,
That's right. Yeah, Ian. Yeah, I didn't know him really well, but I knew of him at the time. It's such a shame that got nothing like that really.
It used to be the ski lodge, wasn't it? That was a
Yeah, that's right.
there
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, that used to be big. They had Gallows play there, Frank Carter once, and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, Orange Box was brilliant. I saw Ash there, Subways, Wedding Present, Reef, all sorts of stuff. It was really, really cool. And it also gave good opportunity for local bands to play as well. So more likely than not, you'd go and watch Reef or somebody play, and the first two bands on would be fairly local bands, and that gave them a good kind of showcase to. But yeah, it's a shame. I used to enjoy those a lot.
Is there much of a music scene around in these parts at the moment? Or?
Probably, I mean, I hear different bits about it, especially in Yeovil. Tends to be there's a lot of kind of apparently punk stuff about, but it's just not advertised and not in big. Well, not big venues as such, but not in, decent enough venues, I guess, to kind of attract many people. There's quite a lot of electronic stuff as well that goes on, but it's all, yeah, you have to really hunt it out. Otherwise, you go into, like, it's not that far away. You get to Bristol, and there's loads of stuff on.
There's some good venues in Bristol as well, aren't there?
I used to only go to like the O2 Academy in Bristol, but there's the Thekla, the Fleece, multiple really kind of small little clubs and bars and what have you that put on some really good stuff. I've seen some really good bands and just tiny little bars and clubs, and which is usually the kind of best gigs anyway, to be fair. I mean, I'd much rather go to something like that than a big stadium gig. I mean, there are certain bands you can see at a stadium and they fit a stadium and the atmosphere is amazing and it really makes it, and there are other bands that you can see with 25 other people and it just blows your mind. So. But there's not as much around as there used to be, unfortunately. There used to be, apparently, before I kind of came over in this direction, I was always in Salisbury direction when I used to go to gigs and what have you, so I used to see some really good bands at the Art Centre and what have you there. But there used to be used to call it the Electric Broom Cupboard or something in Sherborne, which was a hub down by the, I can't remember what the pub was called now, but it was down by the railway line. And there used to be some big bands play there, and quite a scene back in the, I think it must have been late 80s, early 90s indie kind of scene. But again, I guess the scenes aren't the same anymore, and it's all done differently. The scene appears on Instagram and TikTok before it appears anywhere else, and that's the bit I miss, kind of.
Do you reckon that's detracting away from the experience that punters are getting now?
I don't know, it's weird because I had this conversation with a lot of people where you look at kids these days and they don't know any different, so their experience and what they're into is that's all they've ever known. It's like, it's gone mad on TikTok and it's that kind of thing, whereas we always used to, there's a band playing down at the Red Lion tonight, do you fancy it? You go down and that band's good, but the support band are amazing, and then you find out about them and they've just had an album out and it goes like that. But now it's just done, there's still that kind of hype, I guess, but it's all done differently, which then you have to be careful because sometimes it just sounds like you're moaning because of you miss the good old days kind of thing. I do think they were better. I used to enjoy that far more. Exactly. I used to enjoy that a lot. And I think there's still a place for it. I mean, there's been gigs around it. When Freya's band played, it was nothing amazing, but there was a lot of people there, and it was good fun. And you kind of think people do enjoy it, but maybe somebody, one of us, has got to have the balls to do it. Maybe
Yeah, you should do some promoting.
Mhm.
It's easy. It's now it really is.
Well, now to be fair, yeah, there's
But no, I mean, in a way, it always was because people want something to do.
Mm.
There's just general human experience. Just get your hands back, which is the interlocking fingers were good. I like the challenge. Thanks.
That's that one, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a there's a general feeling that all the fun is happening somewhere else, and it's a really common human experience.
what do you call it? FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah, and I think that's a it's a fairly common thing. If you can make it feel like the fun is happening somewhere accessible,
Yeah.
then people will show up, and that's ultimately all you need is a promoter. Show up.
Right.
Just broke away.
Let's do it then.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, to be fair, do you have a position to?
We've talked a lot about it. It's like it's the finding of a venue, which is
It's the right kind of venue so that you don't kind of
piss people off.
yeah, and it kind of attract people, but then you can't do it in a huge, great. I mean, it's got to be the right kind of. That's why something like the Orange Box was perfect because it wasn't massive, but it was big enough to get a good
Having a
vibe.
difficult time just making it work.
Yeah,
Um,
like I can imagine. I mean, it's that, and that's the kind of thing you just don't know, do you? It's just, and you've got to kind of. You can't promote something unless you've kind of committed to it. And if you've committed to it, it's got to work. Otherwise, you're going to lose money, and then you can only do that for so long. And then,
Ian had worked at what was it? It's a venue in Northampton. It's back like that. And he had some really good times there. And he kind of wanted to recreate that. And he just can't get over it.
no,
I mean, he did a practical job of it, to be fair,
I mean, I went to that place and it was absolutely rammed. Lead singer and guitarist at the Subways crowd surfing and walking across the ceiling.
Yes, it's a very low ceiling,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It wasn't great for the sound. But yeah, there was a particular corner if you stood in it. It just something really weird to your insides. Because it was like a bass trap. Yeah. Pretty perturbed by that.
That was a bit I liked.
Yeah. And how long is it now that you've had the beat track? How long's it been?
I was 3 years old in July.
What's it achieved up to that point for you?
It's made me a lot happier than I ever have been in work. I've never once in the last 3 years got up in the morning and thought, don't want to do this. Whereas I used to do that an awful lot. And motor train. I've met some amazing people.
It's quite inspiring.
Yeah,
Most days I wake up and go to work and do this. It's not, I don't even have anything to do. It's just existing.
well, I can recommend it, definitely.
And what are some of the plans that you got going forwards?
Well, I think
With 3 years, I mean, we look at the accomplishments that you've had with it. So, record store day.
Record store days
mental.
a big one because for any shop that takes part in that, I'm guessing I knew what it was, and I'd been to it as a punter before, so you know what to expect and what have you. But when it's your own business, you've always got that kind of fear element of, I've done everything I need to do, but will anybody turn up? When you've seen queues and queues of people at other places, etc., but you've always got it in the back. Well, I have anyway. Maybe that's maybe pessimistic, more so not optimistic, but you kind of think that. And then that was mass. The first one was amazing. Well, they've all been amazing, but the first one, yeah, to walk around the corner to the shop and see a huge queue of people, and more so, not again, I'm not. It's easy to say, and it would sound, make of it what you will, but it's not. When I say queue of people like that, it's more. I don't see wallets and pound notes queued up. It's people that are happy and looking forward to getting what they want, and being able to kind of do that, and give people what they want, or service people what they want, is that's what makes it so enjoyable. So I mean, that was,
just give a wee brief rundown of what Record Store Day actually is.
well, it was all started off mainly because they'd lost so many record stores in the UK that they felt that they needed to do something to get physical media back in the marketplace, and from independent stores. So Record Store Day is an independent store wide occasion. So if you want to do, you don't have to do it if you don't want to, but every independent store has the ability to do it. And on that particular day, so that one day, which next year will be the 12th of April, will be a day where up to or around 500-600 releases will be issued. They'll be all limited. So the limit could be there may only be 300 copies of something available, maybe 10,000, but ultimately limited compared to what a normal release would be. And those would be all sorts of stuff. They might be exclusive, released only for Record Store Day. They may be reissues, but they either haven't been available for years, or in different colours, or in different versions, different mixes, live albums, all sorts of stuff. But so you got the exclusivity of that, plus the fact that it's only sold through independent shops, and it's not available to order or to reserve. So you go to your local shop in the hope that you're gonna get this, the special release that you desperately want, and that just gets the hype. That's what gets the queues. That's what gets and it gets people. To be fair, it gets people into the town as well. It's quite good for the town, really, to get kind of be able to kind of get it on the map for something different, and then kind of open it up to we work together on that day, and it works really well. And so it's just it's a real, it gives you a really good community feel, because there's a lot of local people. I mean, the first guy in the queue came from Yeovil, and he was in the queue just before midnight, and I didn't open until 8:30.
Yes, you can't open until 8:30.
No.
So there's particular rules.
Yeah.
So
it's actually 8 o'clock, I think it was, and it was. You're not allowed to open before 8. So I mean, I could be there whatever time, but I wouldn't be allowed to open the door and sell anything until 8. But he was there before midnight. And the next guy in the queue, I think, was there at 2 o'clock or so, and then it just, by the time I got there, around the corner of the shop.
I mean, it does always amaze me every time we open for us. We always open early on the day to do Q coffees.
Yeah.
Just how many people are there at the times that they are there, and then when 5 to 8, so you got 5 minutes before opening, and the queue goes all the way around by Mulberry Gallery, and there's could be 30 people in the queue, 40 people in the queue.
Yeah.
It's just bonkers.
Yeah, it's surprising actually sometimes when you look at the queue how many people are in it, because your perception of numbers is quite you kind of think, and then when you actually start looking, you think, Christ, there's probably 50 or so people there. And it's just crazy for a little shop in Sherborne. Yeah, you go to a big shop in Rough Trade or something in Bristol, and the queue will be like 2 miles long, and they started the day before kind of thing. But yeah, I'm really pleased with the way it's gone. There's different other things that they do. I'm a little bit cynical with some of them, maybe, because I think Record Store Day is great, and as one entity, it's really nice and it works really well. But they do other National Album Day and Black Friday and what have you, which it's not as big, certainly, but
it's almost a shame that those kind of days do come in as a part of it.
Yeah.
It waters down.
No, that's right. I'd rather there was one just big day that everybody looked forward to, and but yeah, that's for the future. I mean, I'd like to do more in-store music. We're a chart return shop now, which means every time we sell a new record, we scan it, and then that goes towards the chart numbers. Again, we're only a small store in Dorset, so I'm not pushing through the numbers that some of these big places are doing. I'm not pushing through the numbers that some of the online stores are doing, but ultimately, we could look at getting some bands to play in store or do signings and things like that. So that's ultimately we've gone the first step of that. We've got that accreditation, as it were, and we're doing it. So now we've just got to kind of try and keep putting our hand up in the air and see if we can get somebody that just happens to be. It's difficult area wise because lots of gigs are in Bristol or Southampton, obviously London and what have you. So bands will do in stores where they're playing. So we're kind of. So if we fall in the middle, ultimately, they're going to.
There's a potential in there.
Yeah, so that'd be good for the future. I mean, the shop's grown massively internally as it is, and I don't know, 2 or 3, probably more than that, 5 times more stock than I had when I started. I remember sitting in the shop on the floor, and we'd laid the floor and just thought, what on earth have I done? It's massive, and was this a good idea? Now I haven't got room to sit on the floor. It's just, but no, that's good. So yeah, plenty to keep going on with.
So if we go away from the store or away from the music side of things, tell us a bit about you. That's an open-ended question.
Yeah, it is an open-ended question. Yeah, that's a difficult. I mean, it's a difficult one because it's like most of my interests and passion is for music in one form or another, which either makes me very passionate or very boring.
It can be both.
Yeah. You're finding it boring at the moment. Yeah.
I mean, I'm the same thing. Depends who you're talking to.
Yeah,
no, I can. Yeah, that's back on. I can imagine actually.
If we're going on a subject I'm interested in.
Yeah, then it's.
This is fascinating.
Yeah.
I hadn't realised
No.
that other people sitting around going, "For heaven's shut up."
You alright there, James?
Yes. Much
Winning?
better, thank you.
Good.
I am probably sort of winning. Ish. Alright. That'll be.
Okay.
See, I don't know what else there is. That makes me quite shy, but it's music.
What's gonna be the like weirdest gig you've ever been to? Or standout gig for a reason that isn't because
I remember seeing about, I don't think they're still going, that's from years and years ago. It was, in the local Red Lion in Gillingham used to have some pretty cool bands playing. I missed out on seeing PJ Harvey play there. Once I bought her first album, I thought it was absolutely amazing, and it turned out that she played in the local pub like 3 months earlier, before the album was released, and then the album went on John Peel and everything. So, but I remember a gig there. It was like just mad. It was an avant-garde kind of. I don't know what they were. They were called Lux.
I know them.
You do? Well, the lead singer.
Well, there may be more than one band called that.
Well, this lead singer. He wore black leather trousers that were tied all up the side, high heels, and nothing else. The guitarist was doing a bit of a Jimmy Page, playing it with a bow. I don't know what was going on. It was good though. The music was good, but the lead singer decided that, well, when he was drinking red wine where everybody else was drinking pints. So he was drinking it out of the bottle. Then he was just pouring it all over himself. Then he was smashing the bottle on the floor and then proceeded to roll around on top of it, screaming down the microphone. So whether that's the same band that you knew, James, or not.
Familiar.
Yeah. And that's always stuck in my mind for obvious reasons. That was quite bizarre. I went to a punk gig. I was in Gillingham as well, actually. Above it was not even there anymore. Above the Royal Hotel, I think it was called. And that always sticks in my mind because it was just the atmosphere there was as if it was like a powder keg, just waiting to. Just didn't feel like you were going to get out of there alive. It was very, very tense. It was really good, but it was just, terrifying. But Sharia Law. Still got the CD that I bought.
But and then also, I guess on the same train, it's gig that you want to go to, or artists that you want to go and see live but haven't done yet.
King Gizzard is definitely one, and I don't understand why I've not seen him live, but that's definitely one that I need to see. Tool is another one. That's again, I should have gone this year to watch them, but it
Well, they're
just,
gigging this year.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think they played. I'll say the trouble is that they're a huge band and they are probably adapt to stadium really well, but they only play massive stadiums. So, but yeah, I think they're one that I'd love to see. The bands like I've never seen Deftones, but I'd love to see them in a real small kind of venue. That'd be crazy.
I just couldn't believe it when we went to Scarlet and went for a pee at one point, and then one of the posters showed that Deftones had played there like 2 months before. I don't know how we missed it.
No, that's yeah. Well, that Scarlord gig was crazy.
Well, that was a bit off the chart.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's just noise for 2.5 hours. Yeah, no, walking down the road, not saying a thing to each other, and then just looking at each other going, well, that was intense.
pretty mad. That was pretty mad. But the one at what was it, Sierra? That was really cool.
Mm.
I enjoyed that.
But yeah, it's like a tiny venue.
Mm. They are often from a gig goer's point of view the best one. So see the Smashing I wouldn't go and see the Smashing Pumpkins now because they play massive venues. They play the O2 in London, and it's just, I don't know, not for me. But seeing them in the beer cellar, being a foot away from them, and it's just amazing.
And what's your take on the kind of the prices being asked from artists to go and see them these days?
That's insane. I know costs. Everything goes up, and there's a huge amount of work that's done on certain shows and what have you, but I don't like the dynamic pricing and things like that.
I heard about that through the Oasis.
I mean, yeah, I don't, and apparently it's huge in America, but I don't understand how. So I used it as an example in a shop the other day when I had a queue of people, and I said, well, two people were buying the same album. I said, well, because this guy at the front of the queue is buying the album, that means that the person third in the queue is now, I'm going to charge them a £5 more because it's pop.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't, and I wouldn't, but that's the way it doesn't make any sense to me. It's how you can get into a queue for a ticket at £75 and end up paying £160. It just sit. Well, Paul Heaton from the Beautiful South. Yeah, he used to be the lead singer of the House Martins. He won't charge any more. There's a cap on any gig that he does will not cost you more than £35 per ticket, regardless where it is.
Wow.
And there are an awful lot of people now that are trying to. James Blake is one as well, where. Sorry. I didn't realise I.
That time there'll be a ruler.
James Blake is and a lot of other artists though have also companies like Ticketmaster and what have you. They get the customer data, don't share it with the artist.
Okay, that's interesting.
And he's not just him, but he's now they're using different ticket operators and all sorts now to bypass that and to lower prices and be able to kind of get that information out to people without having to go through Ticketmaster, because they've asked for the information. They've had, he's got a tour coming up and he wants to contact everybody and let everybody that's on the list to let them know when it's happening, and which makes obviously perfect business sense to be able to do that, but they won't give them access to that information.
Wow. And
that information was gleaned from him doing a gig via Ticketmaster, so it's because of it doesn't make sense. So that's crazy. I know people that have spent decent money on crazy money on some gigs, and you just think, I hope it's after all that. I hope that you just don't know I don't know whether it's the band that are greedy or whether it's the company behind it, but ultimately the band knows about it. So Paul Heaton can turn around and say, that's not right, this is what I'm doing, and if he can still make it work, I'm sure others can.
So a few weeks ago we were talking about the Linkin Park tickets for the new stuff.
Yeah.
175 quid.
I mean, that's once you start looking at tickets, and then there might be two of you going, So you look at 350
And then you got to
quid.
get there.
You got to get there. You got to have food. I keep moving my hands. You might have to stay somewhere. Yeah, it's just before you know it, you spent £600-700 on one night, and then you just need. I mean, I've jokingly said to people getting Oasis tickets, I've said just get the first night because
they have a row
after 3 nights, I can see them rowing, and one of them saying, "I'm not doing it." So
we pretty much all know who's going to be that one.
could you? So could you imagine that? It's just horrendous. So.
Josie has just written, I don't know whether or not you do it. Does Paul know my brother-in-law's band, The House of Love?
I know the band called The House of Love. So if
Josie, what's your brother-in-law's name? If you're willing to share.
there's
First time I've done the stair.
there's a
I missed it.
the stair. Up the stair. Didn't get a handshake. I got a stair. Yeah, if it's The House of Love, that's a big band. So yes, I do know The House of Love. I have to be honest and say I don't know the names of the members.
Brother-in-law is Guy Chadwick.
Oh, in that case, yes, I do know.
There you go.
How?
Blimey.
Get him in the shop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Bring him down. Bring him down. Please, bring him down.
It's amazing the connections, because there's a guy that's in, it's Hay Colossus, isn't it? He lives in Melbourne Port.
Melbourne Port, yeah.
And then just down the road, and I think I've said this to you before, Goldfrapp's sister
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
is just down the road, and the guy that comes into our shop is like, yeah, we've still on the side many gigs that they've done. And it's just, it's mental about people around. Yeah, come on, Josie, you got some work to do now.
Yeah. Yeah, you put your hand up, so now you got to follow through now. No, I did a little article on the Shelbourne Times a month or two ago about the people that come into the shop, and it's amazing what kind of talent and what have you there is around, but how down to earth people are. And like Tim from Hay Colossus, I've followed them to a degree and listened to them for years, and it was only just he'd been into the shop for probably 3 months, and we just happened to have a conversation about it was Mark Lanigan actually, and then he just happened to mention that Mark Lanigan sang a song on our last album, and then it was like, what? And then it turns out, yeah, he's been, and he's in 3 different bands. He's written a novel. It's just these people that another guy comes in, Kak from Yeovil, and turns out that he was in a electronic outfit that I used to try and hunt their stuff down. Something crazy back, like almost pre or just as the internet came out, and it turns out it was him. And then he writes scripts for 2000 AD, and has written 2 or 3 books, and has done multiple bands and electronic stuff and techno with a guy in Finland and all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. And yeah, there's just so many people that and that's why I love the shop. It's all about the people that you meet and what they do. I think I put online the other day that the last 4 books I've read have been written by customers.
Wow,
That's pretty cool.
It is a funny thing, that thing of how many people have kind of, been out there doing stuff and making things, and the only people you ever hear from are the people who's pretending.
No, that's exactly, yeah. Because all of those people have never kind of waltzed into the shop and said,
And it's,
Do you know who I am? And
not that I'm against like self-publishing and stuff like that. I think it's good in principle, but it's yeah, it's a few vanity things around it.
Yeah.
Look at art. You think it's you, it's not you. Yeah, and then there's people like Joe.
Yeah.
It's been all over it. You never know it.
No.
Just the most nice, unassuming chap.
No, that's right. Exactly.
He doesn't need to make a big thing out of it
No.
because he
does it, and he knows.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He knows.
And that's what I like. People are happy doing what they're doing, and they don't need everybody to know necessarily.
Yeah, I think there's also a case of sort of being under the radar. So, you know, going into a place, and if you're sort of pulled over by every Tom, Dick or Harry that's in there, then I probably won't go back.
No.
Whereas if it's just a normal, you know, brilliant meet up, chat,
Yeah.
you know, not bothering to take social media photos of people and you know, because that's an intrusion at the end of the day.
Yeah,
And if you don't do those sort of things, then this is a normal place I can come and I won't get accosted.
No.
I met a very well-known musician the other day, and it didn't even occur to me to like ask for a selfie or anything like that. Because for what? We weren't going to show it to. And also, it just would have seemed really vulgar to do that. You know, it must happen to them all the time. And it was just a chance thing. It wasn't like, you know, I deliberately sort of went to that place to meet them or anything like that. It's just a sort of happenstance. So they're on their time off, you know.
Yeah.
And you sort of, you know, like, I mean, the idea of being an actor and people coming up to you in restaurants, and they go, oh, that was really shitty. What do you expect?
He was trying to have his dinner.
So a few other people, Steve Henderson, I think it's his name, you James, is saying, go on, give him broader shoulders.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's that actually, it's the arm.
We've had Emma's joined us, said, evening, sorry I'm late to the party, enjoying watching the evolution of the check shirt amongst the names. And Skin Flower Music.
Oh, Matt.
Matt.
Yeah, my friend Matt. He does the music to the time-lapse video.
Oh, cool.
Which you don't get to hear, because obviously we're muted.
It said, hi James and team, been watching on YouTube but switched over as no comments looked like they were pulling through. People won't mention comments on YouTube, man. A few more now, but cool. So halfway through, you had a quick sneaky peek at what you were seeing. What was your initial thoughts?
Still ugly.
Yeah.
I was hoping that I was, you know, gonna have broader shoulders and
You won't notice this arm.
look at least 20 years younger.
Shrinking
But
this arm, and it's not there.
I was hoping it was going to be like TV and it makes you look, you know, 2 stone lighter. Or
I think it's the other way around.
yeah, so do I. No, I did say to James actually. It's amazing when you see somebody doing that, and it's not something that I could ever contemplate being able to do. But you look at it, and when James wasn't happy with something, it was just a case of and just wipe it on and you think, oh God, you know, how do you come back from that? But it's fascinating to see how it all takes shape.
Well, you have an argument though, James, that it's practice. Is so everybody can do it. It is just a case of practice and practice and practice.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I've said this before. I could never do one of the paintings that you've done, and you just sort of, yeah, you just need to sit and practice. And I've been doing this for X amount of years, do a live one every week and multiple in the week as well. So
I think
we'll go back to talking.
I guess it's having the kind of, I don't know, the inspiration and motivation and the nerve maybe to actually give it a go in the first place, and then to persevere when I know that I wouldn't be.
The thing is, it's the thing that anyone who does something creative to any standard has spent a very long time being bad at it and doing it anyway.
But had the passion to want to continue to do it, and that's
the reward has to be in the doing.
Yeah.
Now there are things, so you can be. This is one of the dangers actually. You can be new to something like or music or whatever, and you can go straight into, well, this, squaring everything up and or learning where to put your fingers and all the rest of it, and you're kind of robbing yourself of the experience.
It's up with those fingers, bro.
And then you've spent hundreds of hours doing something which should only have taken a couple, but maybe taken years to get to the stage where it only takes a couple, and then and then you need some kind of recognition for it, because the experience of doing it wasn't enough on its own, and so ultimately the thing is to find something where you are rewarded by the act of doing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that's a hard thing to find. I find it hard. Yeah, that's not an easy thing to get. But if you can find that, then you'll keep doing it. And so, anyone when they first pick up an instrument or paintbrush or I don't know, a million other things, it's going to be terrible at it. And but if you are doing it anyway,
Yeah, then you'll continue to do it.
yeah, and
Get better.
The work needs to be its own reward. You just simply won't have the energy to keep it going. And I do feel a bit sort of I feel very sorry for people who work very hard to do it as a kind of feat, and then find out they can work really hard at it, and then then there's no reward on the other side. No one cares, why would they? But I mean, for me, if I can communicate something with myself, then maybe something will come through to somebody else as well.
So what's the rest of the year got lined up for the shop?
Sell more records, buy records, send to people, buy more records, sell them.
He's done it before.
Yeah.
October the 19th is National Album Day, so that's celebrating British bands. Then whatever day it is, November the 29th maybe, it's Black Friday, so it'll be the record store day exclusive stuff out then. Excuse me. Yeah, that's pretty much. I've got hopefully a few kind of live things lined up, or potentially lined up.
So aren't you going to be doing some music for Claire, for her?
Oh yeah, for the Alexander McQueen evening. Yeah.
Yeah, she's telling everyone she's got a DJ.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Has she told you about your costume?
No.
I'm kidding.
So yes, I'll be yeah, in one form or another doing something.
That's nice, isn't it? How like making actual things happen, like events. I think it's sort of, I think that's what we need more of. Again, it's that thing like that's why being a promoter is easy. It's because you have to.
Well, we found that with a vinyl night, didn't we? You just put on a night where, for all intents and purposes, it's just people sitting around listening to records, which you could sit at home and listen to on Spotify, but people would like that, like you say, something to do, that interaction with other people.
But also, I think that one was, and with record nights as well, and the other place for the one, it's the night is almost handed over to the people that are attending.
Yeah, the success of the night is not down to me or you, like hosting it, but it's the people that are bringing the music and.
Yeah, well, why did you bring it? What's that?
Yeah, that's right, and
What's
their kind of passion for it, and then you get a room full of people that are passionate about the same thing, then it'll be a success, which is exactly what it was. It was really good fun.
So you're going to try and squeeze one in November as well. So.
Yeah, that might be
from the sounds of things, might be the beginning of December to
yeah.
But,
no, that was good, and that's again goes right back to why I love Sherborne so much, and the fact that we've got such good, it's a good community of businesses. So we work together. Like I said, Lemon and Drinksmith and yourselves, and we do stuff together, and then we got a good base of customers as well that are really, they're loyal customers, and it's really difficult sometimes talking about customers because most of them are mates now.
Yeah.
It's quite. I don't feel comfortable calling them customers.
And that's the thing about being self-employed.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, actually, you're right.
That's one of the most stupid things you can ever do if you're self-employed is do mates rates.
Yeah.
Because you end up they're the only people you'll be working for.
Yeah.
You want to work with people you don't like. You don't have to. So actually, what you need to do is charge your phones extra. Because that.
Graham's gone a funny colour now. You've said that.
No, you should charge them extra.
Graham's instantly gone bankrupt now. You said that. So. I wouldn't dream of doing that. Not a good business model, I know, but I wouldn't dream of doing that.
No. There's a lot of businesses I've never done. I would say mostly because I'm quite a lazy person. I don't want to work anymore than I have to. But if it's something I care about. But I do the idea of opening an art shop. It could do really well. And as long as Peter up the road had his art shop, I couldn't have done it.
No.
There were times when I was saying, just stock it, Peter. I will buy it all off you, just stock it. And he'd go, I don't know if it'll go that. I go, I don't know if I can buy it. But, for classes and things like that.
Yeah.
But, and I thought I could just start an art shop and do really well. And I thought I'd put that business straight away. I just couldn't bring myself to do that. So there is this sort of, I'm not really the hard-nosed businessman. I don't think, I don't put stuff away.
I had getting back to what we spoke about before, I had 30 years of targets and pressure and trying to push other people to get more and more and more out of them. It's not fun. It's not to me. Different things motivate different people, but that did for a while. But
I realise we've actually got on to like 9:30.
Is it 9:30?
It is, yeah.
Jesus.
Sorry about that.
No, I'm happy.
I think I'm done.
Well, there we go.
I meant to ask you a question actually about painting. If you're painting a portrait of somebody that wears glasses, is that?
Oh, it makes it easier, unless they keep moving their head.
Feel that, dear. Just from over there.
Unless after we've just said it's 9:30, we've gone half an hour over. So yeah.
That's exactly how much you slow things up. Unstoppable head movement.
Because I kept moving my head, not putting my
You
hands
just
together.
take any responsibility. That's quite fun. That's quite fun to do that. Oh, I'll put a signature on it, and probably just going over time. I used to do when I started doing a live stream. I did it from 9 to 11, and nobody watched, and they all said, "Oh, it's too late." So when I brought it back again, I changed it, and now they don't know what to say.
Well, I wonder whether we should have almost like a reaction video. Very tough.
Oh,
Like a reveal kind of. If you take the camera out, it's holding. Well, yeah, do your usual uploads, and this was a bit that I like. This is a bit I did. It's still going. You're fiddling now, aren't you?
Now I'm creating edges. I'm not doing the yellow of the thing. I quite like the suggestion of my tattoo stuff like that.
The question he's asked for Steve Henderson is: are the shoulders broad enough?
Well, because of the way, I suppose what I could do. Just take a red in that direction. That sort of gives me a broader shoulder, doesn't it? Just that directional gesture. So yeah, let's have a little set that close. A bit of trouble with the beard. The check shirt is sort of really. That looks very black on the screen. It's a lot bluer than that, but there you are. And a kind of a halo, which is a little nod back to like a Byzantine icon, except it's fallen out of it slightly. So
That's about right, to be fair.
because you've fallen out of God's grace.
Yeah,
There you are.
in more ways than one.
Also, it's a blue halo, so it's, yeah. So there we go. And pop that back. So it's not really revealed now because you've seen it on the screen. But I would say, do you want to come and have a look now?
Yeah, come on around.
Oh,
Right. Oh, it's one of these like TV shows. Is he going to cry?
yeah.
Or just,
That's incredible.
just think sad thoughts.
Like,
Getting sound like that.
take myself for the That's fantastic.
It's a little bit. I think you relaxed. Got your head tilt. I quite like these little sort of
The blue flags are amazing.
Yeah.
effects because they kind of create a movement. There's sort of this rotating of your head that I noticed right at the beginning. So I put the circle behind as well, which is it's a little nod to Rembrandt, it's a little nod to the kind of the halos of pre-Renaissance paintings, and it's also like a record.
Which is cool. That's cool.
So
Oh, that's amazing. Honest.
And your shirt provided the colour theme.
It can be any other.
Could have got more blues into the shirt, I guess. But that's fine.
Joseph said, wonderful. Steve Henderson, nice.
Right, everyone's very kind. Thank you very much for coming along and joining. And most of all, thanks to Paul for sitting in a chair for all that time and drinking beer and it's not easy to squirm constantly.
Yeah. It's not easy to keep moving for a whole 2.5
hours. I do make a thing of I like people to move, and I prefer to have that challenge and to have the chance of the painting getting away and get something interesting and hopefully animated than have a sort of a waxwork wooden completely frozen in space sort of person. As long as I can get some bit of accuracy, I mean you've barely got a nose, but hopefully we can imagine a nose. It's all about
I like the hair. The hair looks cool.
yeah,
I
exactly.
wonder how that was gonna.
The beard's
And what I always love about painting and what have you is that you look at me, I look at myself in the mirror, and I've got grey hair, and I'm wearing a black and red, blue and red shirt, and then you look at that, and there's blue in the hair, and there's pink, and there's red, and there's blue, and it makes everything stand out, pop out.
I hope it looks animated.
Yeah, no, exactly. It
Also,
looks-
actually, you know, the grey thing is an interesting one because my hair's starting to go grey, and
Is it?
I'm still 35 from the back.
Yeah.
That's what
The trouble is, I'm 55 from the back, and I'm not even 55.
I quite like doing the live stream thing because I look like but no, you've got like a nice even grey in the beard. Now my beard's continually going grey, but it's sort of homing in on the middle. So it's going grey at the sides first, which means my moustache has sort of gone grey from the sides, which means the only bit left with any basically.
Oh dear.
So if I haven't shaved, I've grown a moustache by default because it's the only bit left that's dark. So I'm going to have this. Yeah, that's not a good look.
So Skin Flower Music, you say his name's Matt? Was it Matt?
Matt.
Yeah, so he said, awesome work, James, and what a cool guest and fascinating conversation.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
And
We shall see you next week. We might have another, I'm working on it, we might have another portrait next week of somebody a little bit.
are you press ganging someone?
I am, yes, yeah, and it's working, getting there. What a great way to finish.
It's goodbye for Minky.
Goodbye, thank you.
And he just walks up. Yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody. We shall see you again next week.